Ah, Diablo 2. There's only so much magic finding you can do before you ask yourself, what the hell am I doing with my life? And the answer to that question is very simple. You are working towards being able to afford a PvP character. And once you become a PvP player, you don't really ever stop. Diablo 2 PvP is addicting as fuck, man. Does it have its faults? Of course it does. The biggest being the cost of entry in order to actually stand a chance. I mean, take this guy for example. He's running a hybrid build that uses Smite and Fist of the Heavens, and when he's not using Grief, he's swapping to this perfect call to arms in a 3 to Conviction, 3 to Fist of Heavens, War Scepter base. Which puts the old Hand of Blessed Light to shame. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you need expensive gear. And I'm not talking a couple burr runes, I'm talking like several dozen burr runes. And depending on the character, we're talking hundreds. The best part about PvP though is that it is knowledge based. You have different strategies for different characters, you have like absorb and resistance gear in the stash to swap out. Unless of course you just want to die in one hit every time you walk out of town. Additionally, you need different strategies based on what class you are playing against. Whirlwind versus Smiter, you better not Whirlwind directly into him, or it's over. You also better swap to some high attack rating gear, because his defense is insane.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right!
The character I used in this video is what's known as a BVC character, Barbarian versus Caster. In pub games, you tend to get what you get though, so a lot of my gear is for melee matchups as well. The skill tree is pretty simple. You just want to max Battle Orders, Axe Mastery, and Whirlwind. These are the skills highlighted in red, and the skills highlighted in yellow are basically up to personal preference. If you want more utility for team fights and catching people, max out Leap. If you want more defense for physical matchups, go for Shout and Iron Skin. For stats, enough strength to use gear, then all into Vitality. Try to get at least 6,000 life. In the main hand, I'm using a Grief Zerker, very original. No one has ever thought of this before, I know. Unfortunately, this one kinda sucks, but that just means there's room to improve. Moving on to the helmet, I have a double bird Crown of Ages for physical matchups. Ideally, I'd have a 220, 2 open socket circlet with burr and low for caster matchups, but you know, I'm not rich. The amulet is High Lords, which is pretty much always used unless you want to swap to Angelic set for high defense matchups. The body armor is obviously Enigma because, for one, that's what everybody else is using, and if you're not using it, how are you going to catch them? They're just going to kite you. So yeah, don't use Fortitude. I know how tempting it is. Don't do it. The second weapon is Beast for the Fanaticism aura, which increases attack speed, damage, and attack rating. There's nothing better. Also, you get a ton of strength. The boots are Gore Riders, which is the best option. I'm pretty sure World Travelers don't even compare. Maybe swap to Hotspurs or other resistance boots when needed. Right now, I'm actually using dual Ravenfrost rings. They just simply have the most attack rating. Also, the mana on it is pretty nice. For the belt, it's just a classic PvP item of Verdungo's. Damage reduction, life, faster hit recovery. That's all you need. And yeah, like I said, another Ravenfrost just for the huge attack rating boost. For when I do want to hit that 9 frame faster cast rate breakpoint, I will swap one of these out for a faster cast rate ring. But that's about it. For the gloves, I've got a pair of Steel Wrens. This is just for the extra damage really. It adds about 200 damage on the high end, so it's not insignificant. The charms are a bit of a disaster, basically a poor man's random assortment of life, resistance, and damage charms. 320/20s are ideal with life resistance charms in the stash to swap out, especially for cold sorceresses. You want to stack that resistance through the roof. That way you'll basically just take 0 damage from their blizzards. Yeah, it's BM, but fuck them, who cares? The first matchup I want to go over is the Smite matchup, because they are painfully common. It's like when you go fishing and all you catch is those stupid ass little sunfish. Yeah, same thing with PvP lobbies and Smiters. However, if you know what you're doing, you can outplay them, especially the ones that use Phase Blades, as they only have a weapon range of 2 and Berserker Axes have a weapon range of 3. So what that means is if you go in at an angle, you can actually take them out and they won't be able to hit you. I made this visual so you can have a better reference. Basically, stay out of the danger zone while still clipping him. I know my gameplay sucks, but trust me, this works. The next matchup is other barbarians, and if you are going up against some goofy ass max defense, max block, barb versus barb clown, then yeah, you're gonna lose. But if it's another BVC barb, I found that it was generally a toss-up depending on who gets lucky with their crits. One thing I overlooked, and it's apparent in these early clips, was that I had leap maxed out, which took away points from shout, which is really bad. Defense matters a lot. Shocker. And honestly, I'm not really good enough to utilize leap how it's supposed to be used. So I kind of just said fuck it and maxed out shout instead, and I had a much better time, especially considering no one was playing sorceress. There were plenty of assassins out there though, and the ones that were pure trappers were literally so easy, but the level 98 ghost sins with their fool's claws and 200k forum gold, yeah, they kicked my ass, okay? But quite frankly, I don't even want to fight those guys anyways. See, I'd rather fight people that I can just kill and feel good about myself, like spear zons, okay? They just stand there. If you let them poke you, you're dead. But once you figure out that all you have to do is teleport behind them, it's fucking over. By the way, that call to arms I showed you earlier, this is the guy. And dude destroyed me like 10 times in a row, and then I gave up. So that's how that went. Anyways, let's talk druids for a second. There's windy druids, fury druids, and then there's a whole different breed. We'll talk about that later. First, the windy druid, they just want to surround themselves with summons and telestomp you. That's good for you, because if they telestomp you while you're whirlwinding, they're just gonna die. So it's really all about the chase and not running into their tornadoes. And while they do hit very hard, as a barbarian using a Ravenfrost ring and with decent cold res, and lots of damage reduction because tornadoes are half cold, half physical, generally I didn't have too much trouble with them. That being said, it's not like I was facing the top 1% of duelers. These were just pub games, and with pub games, you get stuff like this. This is a rabies druid. His whole goal is to hit you one time, unshift, and then just teleport away from you. This was so frustrating. While funny, this is an example of me not being prepared. If I had an Endariel's Visage in the stash and I just swapped to some higher, faster cast rate gear, I would have been able to resist all the poison and then catch him. The thing with Fury Druids is that they are handicapped and they know it. Enigma is not an option for them, so you just know they're going to be stacked with damage and defense with things like max block and fortitude, and my character is not worthy of these battles. However, I was very close to securing the kill. The problem is that when you get druids down to like 1 HP, they unshift, so they're able to like shift back again as like kind of like a second life. So you kind of got to be careful, because if they get like a lucky hit on you, it's over. But you know, I kind of already have this win secured, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna kill him, come on. Unfortunately, the sorceress stole my kill, and for that, she dies. Also, it has to be said, pub games are filled with BM players and cheaters. People will literally have alt accounts to enchant them, give them auras, oak sages, you name it. But at the end of the day, take their tricks away and they're garbage. That's why they cheat. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. I know I didn't go over necromancers or sorceresses really, but that's because I really didn't encounter them. I did encounter one really strong necromancer who would just use like bone spirit and then bone prison me. And that guy fucked me up, dude. He fucked me up good. I don't want to fight necromancers. You can't resist them. It's hard. But yeah, stay tuned for more content. I'll see you guys next time.
Double kill.